In the next section, what we're going to talk about are what I consider to be the 4 components that allow or restrict movement in the body. And that is the skeletal system, connective tissue, the muscular system, and the nervous system. These 4 components work together at all times. Now, as we go through them, we're going to separate them. We're going to talk about each one of those segments separately. And this is a big problem with really, truly understanding anatomy, is that in order to understand it, we divide it up so that we can explain the bits, but it very rarely gets put back together. And so we really want to hold on to how all of these elements work together, how they all fit together, because really, at the end of the day, it's one unit. It's one system that we have arbitrarily divided into segments. So first we're going to talk about the skeletal system, and it has 5 basic functions. The first one, protection. And so the synovial joints are the most abundant in the body, and they're also the most movable. The elbow joint, the 2 radial-ulnar joints that we just described, all of the joints in the hand, all synovial joints. And so they all have the same components. And those components are a joint capsule, which literally encapsulates the ends of those 2 bones as they come together. It basically cuts it off from the rest of the body. Yeah? Blood supply and nerve supply can go in and out of it. The next component, just on the inside of the joint capsule, is a synovial membrane. And the synovial membrane produces what's called synovial fluid. And synovial fluid is the lubricant, the carrier medium for minerals and nutrients. And it works very closely with what's called hyaline cartilage or articular cartilage. And if you've ever seen the end of a chicken bone with that white or glossy, almost translucent cap to it, that's articular cartilage. Very smooth, very slick surface. And when you join that together with synovial fluid, you get almost frictionless action and movement at that joint. So what I want to do is I want to connect these pieces together. And so if we look at a bone closely, what we find is on the outer surface of that bone is a layer of connective tissue. And so when we have a tendon coming in from a muscle, any muscle, connecting to that bone, the connective tissue of the tendon meshes and weaves itself together with the connective tissue that surrounds the bone. There's no line, there's no demarcation line of the beginning of one or the end of the other. It's one unit at that point. That muscle is completely connected to that bone. Nobody glues it on or sticks it on with Velcro or anything like that. And so after that tendon is weaved into the bone, as it heads off and starts to become a muscle, the proportion of collagen and elastin eventually begins to change. And you get a higher proportion of elastin in the connective tissue, which is what makes it fascia. Then it becomes the muscle and the muscle belly, and eventually it gets to the other end, where it starts to become a tendon again, become more fibrous and more proportion of collagen so that it has the strength to then weave itself into another bone. And so basically you've gone from connective tissue on the bone, stayed connective tissue through the tendon, through the fascia, until you got to tendon and to the next bone. And so it becomes one functional unit. And this collateral ligament is on the inside, so it's the medial collateral ligament. This ligament is on the outside, so it's called the lateral collateral ligament. Now, the purpose of ligaments is to allow for and restrict movement in particular directions. So the 2 collateral ligaments prevent side-to-side movement. So if I bend the knee sideways, you'll see how the lateral one's going to get short and the medial one is going to get longer. As I bend the knee, you'll see that this medial collateral ligament gets stretched and lengthened. If I go the other way, the lateral one gets stretched and lengthened. So football players, when they get tackled from the outside of their knee and the knee buckles this way, often what they tear is the medial collateral ligament. we're trying to encourage this bone, the femur, going this way, while this bone, the tibia, goes this way. What often happens is that they head towards each other. And when these two areas head towards each other, I'll stack my other model on. I'll fold it. When these two go towards each other, if you look in this area, you'll see that there's a pinching of the meniscus.